In India, a land of stories, resilience, and quiet endurance, there's a silence that too often costs lives. A silence that hides behind smiles, success, and the words, "I'm fine." On this World Mental Health Day, Dr. Pratibha Sharan and psychiatrist Dr. Preeti Srinivas open a much needed conversation on what it truly means to protect your mind, not just your body. They talk about the unseen weight of depression, anxiety, postpartum struggles, and the digital pressures shaping a generation. Because the truth is, mental health in India is a crisis we can't afford to ignore. In 2022, according to the National Crime Records Bureau, over 170,000 people in India died by suicide, the highest number ever recorded. That's nearly one life lost every 3 minutes. The suicide rate has climbed to 12.4 per 1 lakh people, and young adults aged 18 to 30 account for more than 1/3 of these deaths. These aren't just numbers, they're friends, classmates, colleagues, people who needed to be heard but weren't. Dr. Preeti Srinivas grew up watching her father, a psychiatrist, care for people with compassion and patience. From the age of 6, she was exposed to his world, stories, and struggles. It didn't scare her, it shaped her. That early exposure taught her that psychiatry isn't just about illness, it's about humanity. Her work today focuses on creating awareness and normalizing care in women, in youth, and in families. Because in India, where mental health carries stigma, too many people delay seeking help out of fear or shame. Women especially carry an invisible weight. They are twice as likely as men to experience depression or anxiety, and yet their pain is often dismissed as mood swings or stress. Conditions like PMS, PMDD, and postpartum depression are still brushed aside, leaving women to fight their battles alone. And behind the facade of having it all together, so many suffer in silence. Actor Deepika Padukone, at the peak of her success, spoke openly about her battle with depression, how she felt helpless, hopeless, and unable to explain what was happening to her. It was her mother who recognized the signs and urged her to seek help. That moment of honesty changed India's mental health conversation, showing millions that mental illness does not discriminate. And perhaps the most tragic reminder came recently from Harshavardhan Kikkeri, a Mysore-born tech entrepreneur living in the US who killed his wife and son before taking his own life. Reports say he was struggling with depression and self-medicating, a man surrounded by success yet isolated in his suffering. It forces us to ask, how many more must we lose before we start listening? In this special episode of Rebooting the Brain, Dr. Pratibha Sharan and Dr. Preeti Srinivas speak about the realities of mental health in women, in youth, in all of us, and why it's time we replaced judgment with understanding. Because when we start talking about mental health, we don't just change minds, we save lives. This is Rebooting the Brain, where every conversation is a step toward healing.
ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवम् उपास्महे आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीव उपास्महे हयग्रीव उपास्महे.
Rebooting the Brain, powered by PRS Neurosciences.
Namaste, everybody. Welcome to another beautiful episode of our podcast, Rebooting the Brain. Today, this is a very, I should say, highly demanded program. So, we have with us our special guest. I will introduce her in a minute. But before, as usual, we will start with the shloka, which is Asatoma Sadgamaya. Asatoma Sadgamaya. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamamritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. As the shloka says, throwing light on the darkness. Today we have Dr. Preeti, who's a leading psychiatrist, who comes from a psychiatrist background, a family, and here she is to help us understand more about the very demanded issue about mental health disorders. Welcome, Preeti, for
Thank
our
you so
podcast.
much, Dr. Pratima.
We just saw about this news, the video and the newspaper clipping about this entrepreneur ending his life. Apart from that, with his family, right? Now, unfortunately, he's a known person to me. He's worked with us as a tech partner to create gadgets for our patients. Very nice person, very nice family. Business was doing very well, but why did he take such a drastic step? What really went wrong? He was apparently, we came to know from his mother that he was on SSRI, and it was self medication. He hasn't consulted a doctor. So, being a psychiatrist, I'm sure you would have come across a lot of patients like this. So, can you throw some light for our viewers about different kinds of mental health issues?
Yeah, first, I think I would like to start off with what does mental health mean actually.
Mm.
According to WHO, mental health is a state of person's well-being
Mm.
in which the person realizes his capacities, is able to cope with stress, learn, live well, and give back to the community, and not merely absence of mental disorders.
Correct.
So, in psychiatry, almost 60% of the people who contemplate to end life
Mm.
have a diagnosis of severe depression
Okay.
with psychotic symptoms, and 10% of the population have other major disorders like schizophrenia, bipolar, and schizoaffective.
Mm.
But there is a small percentage of people, I think it's a little bit new in psychiatry, where people with no diagnosis of depression
Okay.
suddenly contemplate ending their lives.
Oh,
So this is called something called acute crisis syndrome.
okay.
So they're doing very well in life, they're very socializing.
Mm.
There are no cues that this person might be depressed or feeling sad,
Okay.
and suddenly out of the blue, they end their life.
Okay. So is it anything specific to certain age when they reach this happens, or
No,
nothing like that?
depression, the mean age is somewhere between 30 to 40.
Okay.
But there are different types of depression which can start in childhood. It's
Mhm.
called childhood depression, slightly less percentage. Adolescents, we have what is known as atypical depression.
Okay.
And in women are mostly affected in the age of 30 to 40 years during the perimenopausal stage.
Correct.
And elderly, we have what is known as agitated depression. So there is no right age where we
Yeah.
can say the patient cannot be depressed. And during one's lifetime, any time we can be prone for depression.
Mm. So, do you find certain? There's a question I encounter a lot of. Is it hereditary? Is it genetic? So, what do you have to say for that?
Yeah, all mental disorders basically are divided into two divisions.
Mm.
One is the major mental disorders and the minor, which the large percentage of people are affected. Certain major mental disorders are schizophrenia, bipolar, schizoaffective, severe depression.
Mm.
And the minor mental disorders, which is commonly seen in many people, are anxiety, panic, insomnia, the milder kind of depression,
Okay.
or reactive depression. So, coming to psychiatric disorders, it is multifactorial. So, there is a biopsychosocial model.
Correct.
So, definitely there's a biological causation. Hereditary or genetic is one of the factor.
Correct.
Then there are psychosocial issues
Mm.
in terms of stress, their vulnerability for
True.
having a disorder, because the same stress, why is that one person is able to cope up
Correct.
better and the other person?
And exposed to the same kind of environment.
Environment.
Also. Yeah.
So we can keep in terms of the vulnerability factor. So the other thing is the support system.
Mm.
So how supportive the close ones are, or the intimate family members are. So most of them are multifactorial.
Mm. So, can you take some examples? Like, I just spoke about Harshavardhan Kekeri just now. You said it's an acute one. Can you take an example of either similar one or something which has got a chronic kind of a presentation?
Yeah, because in depression, as we know, there are two kinds.
Mm.
One is major depression, and which is divided into mild, moderate, and severe.
Okay.
Then there is what is known as persistent depressive disorder, what we know as dysthymia, which is chronic depression. Generally, it can go on for more than 2 years.
Mm.
Then we have atypical depression, which usually affects adolescents. Premenstrual dysphoria, which happens before the menstrual period for women.
Mm.
And
Something which is called PMS very
yeah,
commonly.
PMS.
Mm.
And postpartum depression.
Okay.
After delivery, the woman is prone for depression.
Mm. So, how does one identify? Because there are so many different categories, you said. How does one identify? When does one need to seek help?
Yeah, because basically we diagnose based on DSM-4
Mm.
or the ICD manual. So
Can
there
you
are,
elaborate a little
yeah,
for our viewers in
yeah,
a
this is
little
like a-
non-technical terms?
okay. This is a book
Uh,
called International Statistical Classification of Disorders, where we have certain criterias to understand which patients have depression or anxiety or any other disorders. So some of the identifying features of depression are, first, the three major symptoms, like sadness of mood.
Okay.
Sadness of mood, which is persistent throughout the day for most of the time.
Mm.
The second most important feature is anhedonia, or it is called lack of interest in pleasurable activities which they enjoyed before.
Okay.
For example, they would feel happy going for shopping, talking to people, going for movies.
Mm.
So the same activities which would make them feel happy no longer
Okay. So
elicits joy.
they can even stop doing those things.
Stop doing it.
Ah,
So they have no motivation
Okay.
or no interest to engage in those activities. The third most important feature is anergia or fatigability.
Okay.
They keep complaining that they're tired
They're
most of the
tired.
time.
Mm.
But here we should make sure that we have ruled out other medical disorders
Okay.
like vitamin D
Correct,
deficiency,
correct.
severe anemia, or hypothyroidism. Once
Correct.
there are no medical condition to explain this anergia, then this fatigability becomes a part of
Okay.
depression.
Okay.
Then we have the minor symptoms.
Mm.
They have death wishes. They feel that life is not worth
Worth it.
staying. Sense of hopelessness, worthlessness, lack of self-esteem or confidence, unable to pay attention or concentrate.
Mm.
They have lot of somatic complaints.
Okay.
They may keep complaining of headache, low back pain, which is very diffuse pain symptoms.
Mm.
Then they can have disruption in physiological functioning.
Mm.
People who are sleeping well, they say that we are getting up earlier than before.
Disturbed sleep.
Disturbed
Yeah.
sleep. Or there can be lack of appetite, weight loss. So these are certain symptoms which we need to look out for in depression.
Right. So, viewers, if you want me to ask Dr. Preeti to go a little more with examples to help you understand how to pick up symptoms in your kith and kins, at home, in your college, in your friend circle, if you want to do that, can we do that for them?
Yes.
If we take the mild depression, for example, because
Yeah.
it is a mild one, people don't take it seriously. Like, because I have patients sometimes who come brought by a friend, but when I interview the parents, when I want to talk to them, they say, Doctor, ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ. He has a bike what he wants. He has all the clothes what he wants. ದುಡ್ಡಿಗೇನು ಪಾಕೆಟ್ ಮನಿ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. Movies he goes around with the friends. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟ ಮೇಲೂ what is the cause for depression? ನಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಇದಿರ್ಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. You know, this kind
Yeah.
of a thing comes up
Right.
when parents come and tell me
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So is it necessary that if they don't get certain things, people will go depressed, or in spite of having everything, people can be depressed? This is a
Yeah,
distinction, I
because
think.
this is tricky, because most of the time when the family members come, they talk about the same symptom. So usually it's a myth when they believe that only a stress or a major life negative event can precipitate depression. It can, but it's something called a reactive depression. So there is a particular stress and there are mild symptoms of depression. Then there is other kind which is known as the endogenous depression, in which stress is not a necessary factor.
Okay.
So that's what they say, like when they come ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇವ್ರು ತುಂಬಾ ನಾನು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೋತೀನಿ, ಹಸ್ಬೆಂಡ್ ಜನರಲಿ
Correct.
ಸೇ,
Exactly.
ಬಟ್ ಯಾವ್ದ್ರಲ್ಲೂ ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಕೆಲ್ಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಕುಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮಕ್ಳು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಯಾವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಸುಸ್ತು ಅಂತಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಬೆನ್ನೋವು, ತಲೆನೋವು. ಶಿ ವಾಸ್ ಸೋ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್, ಬಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ ಮನೇಲಿ. ಶಿ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್, ನಾನು ನೋಡ್ಕೋತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ನಾನು ದುಡಿತಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಬಟ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ವೈ ಶಿ ಫೀಲಿಂಗ್ ಡಿಪ್ರೆಸ್ಡ್? So here we need to make them understand that stress is not a necessary factor for depression. Because as you know, depression is, certain aspect is biological. So sometimes stress can induce deficiency of serotonin, but without stress, people who have history, a family history of depression, or a vulnerability factor, or severe interpersonal conflicts, ongoing family conflicts, these are certain things which can precipitate serotonin and norepinephrine deficiency in the brain. So something like happy hormones.
Correct.
So whenever there is a deficiency and there are no stress, still they can be vulnerable for clinical depression.
Got it. Now, what about these people? They always say if you're exercising, endorphin release is happening. These sports people performing very well, but they go into depression. So how does this work?
Yeah, to certain extent, for our well-being, it has been proven that exercise or any physical activity definitely causes endogenous opioids.
Correct.
Or a happy hormone,
happy.
which makes us feel good. But is this enough to improve our serotonin and dopamine level? So we need to understand, why is this person feeling depressed in spite of physical activity? Is it something more? Is it to do with an ongoing chronic stress in the work life?
Okay.
Or is it to do with the personality issues? Or is it there a history of substance use?
Okay.
Sometimes even substances like alcohol, cannabis, these comorbid symptoms are exacerbating the depressive symptoms.
Possible.
So these are certain things which we need to look out for.
There was this one more news very recently, I think April 24th or something. She's a social media influencer. What was her name? Misha Agarwal.
Okay.
I think that girl, I think she was supposed to celebrate her 25th birthday, and she decided to end her life. And the reason the sister tells later to the public is that her whole goal in life was apparently to hit 1 million followers, and she did.
Okay.
Right after some time, the following came down apparently, and that affected her. I mean, seriously, is that all, or is it something more than
Yeah, I
that? What
think
do you
it
think?
looks like more than
What has been
what is being
told or exposed,
Yeah.
right?
See, because I think this is something all of us go through,
True.
something like self blame or self worth. So, if we think of all of our lives, how the society portrays success
Mm,
or self worth is through external validation.
correct.
So, you get validation from an outside source, you prove something to the world that you're good enough,
And you want to stick to that.
stick to that, and the deep self esteem,
Right.
negative self esteem, the worthy is determined by how much of like she's got.
Correct.
So basically, all of us are worthy the moment we are born.
Absolutely. You said
But
it so
right
right.
from childhood, you see a teacher,
I know.
always you get good marks.
Correct,
You're
correct.
doing academically
Not our
well.
best banto.
Bantu,
Why you didn't get?
why you didn't
You
get?
have the capability.
Yeah, so you're like not
True.
worthy.
I know. I
So
agree.
you're good only if you do something. So it's like a conditional love.
True, true, true.
So during our growing phases, the society unfortunately feeds us with these kind of information and we start internalizing.
Correct.
I'm worthy only if I do something.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm not good enough.
Correct.
So maybe it has to do with a self-esteem issue in terms that she is worthy only when an outside source gives validation. So we need to build this resilience of validating ourselves.
Correct.
No matter what, I'm good enough.
Correct. Do you have any examples of patients who've been like this
But
in your practice?
yeah, basically we see that in adolescents or youngsters when they're into social media or how social media is influencing their lives. I see this less with the middle-aged and older people. So these challenges are with this era
Mm.
of generation which
Generation,
are
Gen
yeah,
Z,
Gen
so-called.
Zs
True.
are exposed to all these
Very true.
and really confused about life.
Yeah,
So what is real life and what is the real life?
you said it so right.
So
True.
maybe this could be one of the major factor which affects their self-esteem.
How do you think we can help them?
Most important thing is awareness,
Mm.
giving them the right knowledge
Mm.
and making them understand what is good for them and what is not good for them,
Mm.
making them understand the consequences of social media addiction.
Mm. But many a times to the youngsters, you give them these so-called advices.
Hmm.
They really don't like
Don't
it.
like it, yeah.
Correct. No?
Right.
So they say no. I mean, as if we don't know.
Hmm.
You know, so typically that's the reply I think every parent gets with the
Mm.
Gen Z.
Yeah.
So obviously it is one, they're in that adolescent age group.
Hmm.
Second, teenage tantrums are
Yeah.
also part of
Right.
it. Then I think another thing now, current life, this is my understanding. I don't know if you agree with that,
Hmm.
that, putting your pictures on Instagram or Facebook and,
Hmm.
that's cool.
Yeah.
In their words, it's cool.
Hmm.
So if you're not present in these things,
Hmm.
you are not the cool kinds.
Cool kinds,
right?
yeah.
So there's, I think, a lot of peer pressure
Hmm.
among the
Hmm.
adolescents also.
Hmm.
Do you think that also contributes?
Yeah, definitely. Because according to the research, we know that the prefrontal lobe,
Hmm.
which is a seat of
Prefrontal lobe is something. Frontal lobe is over here. Prefrontal lobe is a part of the frontal lobe.
so there is complete development
Hmm.
only at the age of 25 years.
Right.
So at the age of 16 or 17, the sense of self-identity is still forming.
Hmm.
And the complete personality happens at the age of 25.
Correct.
Because the prefrontal lobe is a seat for judgment,
Hmm.
understanding, executive
Decision
functioning,
making.
decision making. So probably age could also be one of the factor, which is a very vulnerable age where they're not able to understand the consequences or make proper decision making process.
And they're probably overexposed to these things.
Yeah.
I remember, at least in my era, you're
Hmm.
much younger, I know.
Yeah.
There was no phone.
Hmm.
Smartphone though was very far.
Hmm.
So internet was really,
Yeah.
when we came to college, is what
Yeah.
when we saw.
Hmm.
So this exposure, when at that age for our generation, wasn't there.
Yes.
But so do you think this overexposure to this kind of a environment is also a culprit for this.
Yeah, I believe that.
Because they're not yet mature enough to
Yeah.
take the decision,
Right.
but they're already exposed to these things, and it is pushing them. Unseen pressure is put on them. Do you think that
Yes.
is
Because
something?
the alpha or whatever the newer generation,
Correct.
they're actually born with the discovery of mobile and screen. So the moment they are born, they're exposed to screen.
Correct.
And the screen exposure itself shows that a lot of children have problems with specific learning disability, childhood ADHD, behavioral problems. So I feel parents should try their best to have to play a role model. Most of the houses, we feel that parents are constantly scrolling on the screen time. They're not attuned to the child's emotion. When an adolescent or a teen is trying to talk about their emotions, we normally minimize. Oh, aದೇನಿಲ್ಲ
True.
ಬಿಡು, ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ದೊಡ್ಡ ವಿಷಯ ಅಲ್ಲ.
Correct.
And the parent is not even looking eye to eye with the child.
Very true.
They're already on the mobile. They're constantly
Very true.
scrolling, or they're telling we have another important work to do, or they're messaging. So there is a social learning theory.
True.
So they learn that it's okay not to be attuned or relate to the person face to face.
Okay.
So having open communication with the adolescents, at least spending half an hour just talking about emotions. How was your day? Was it okay? Did you feel sad? Did you feel anger? Trying our best to bring out emotions. Not that it has to be happy emotions, even negative emotions.
True.
So I think these are certain things which parents or teachers can do, rather than just focusing on achievements. How much are you studying? Are you studying well? So what are you doing in life? So we are always focused on achievement rather than talking about emotions.
Correct.
So these are subtle changes I think we can do to make sure that we really care for them.
Yeah.
And what changes we can do as parents to make a change in their lives.
Parents and teachers.
And
I think everybody around. If the same information for one particular child is given in different lingos from all over around them, I think the impact is much
Definitely.
more than just one person sticking to that and saying, don't use mobile, just keep it, when they are using scrolling all the time in front of them. But when they do it, it's important. I'm doing work. When you're doing, it's not important. So that, I think, double standard also, I think,
plays a role.
Very true. Very well said.
And it's sad that in psychiatry especially, there's so much of stigma. Nobody wants to talk about emotions.
True. You said it
in
so
most
right.
of the houses.
And if somebody says, I'm feeling a little low, or I'm not feeling up to the mark, it is not taken as
They tend to normalize.
Oh, maybe it's real. Let's address it.
Or they try to minimize the symptom. Oh, ninge en dod stress ide.
Correct.
So other people have more stress and they're coping up well. See, stress itself has lot of idiosyncratic meaning. What is stressful for you may not be stressful to me. Or
true.
what is stressful for me may not be for you. So we cannot kind of say that you have less stress. So you're not supposed to feel low.
Correct. Very true. Now coming to the younger generation, how often do you see kids coming to you for treatment versus adults?
Kids, generally, we have kids who have mental retardation with behavioral problems. So for behavioral problems, we need behavioral management or low dose medications is required because the child is very hyperactive. So the brain circuits, electrical impulses are hyperactive. So they may require low dose medications. We have children with specific learning disability, so which need assessment and remediation therapy. Children with ADHD or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. If it is very severe, I think pharmacotherapy along with behavioral management will help.
True.
Still remember one interesting story where this lady, she was in her second pregnancy, and first pregnancy she gave birth to a girl child.
Okay.
But the second pregnancy, she was due within a week's time.
Mm.
But she was under severe psychological stress. And then in Gandmagune,
Oh, okay.
we don't need a
Mhm.
girl child.
Okay.
So she was already stressed severely.
Mm.
She was sleep deprived.
Mm.
And this precipitated a severe acute manic symptom.
Oh.
Like mania, Andre, it's one of the psychiatric disorder
Mm.
where they don't sleep,
Mm.
their thinking is abnormal, they're hyperactive,
Mm.
they talk a lot, they have very grandiose ideas, they feel they have certain special powers,
Mhm.
so they don't listen.
Mm.
So in any
That's why I think they say maniac tara aadbada anta.
Correct.
Hmm.
So she was not cooperating at all for any procedures, any medicines.
So, in your practice, what has been the big chunk? Is it the adult population or is it the children population?
I think all the ages have different challenges.
Okay.
So child sometimes can have childhood depression,
Mm.
but the presentation is different.
Mm.
The child is not able to, does not have the cognitive maturity to talk about emotions.
So, when you say child, how old are you referring
Maybe
to?
between 7 to 10 or 12.
7 to 10. Okay.
12.
So, this is generally picked up from the parents or the teachers, I suppose.
Yes. There is a lot of behavioral changes.
Huh.
The child which is doing well academically, there's a dip in the academics, refuses to go to school, is not attentive in school, does not sleep well, has nightmares, or can have body pains. They can keep complaining of stomach pain, back pain, headaches. So they have no interest in playing with other children.
Okay.
So these are certain things which we look for in a child.
Mm.
But when we come to adolescence,
Mm.
we have the major chunk with substance use,
Oh,
unfortunately.
okay.
Lot of adolescents into cannabis. And we have what is known as cannabis-induced psychotic breakdown.
Uh-huh.
They go for parties.
Mm.
They usually, because alcohol is an accepted
Correct.
substances, so usually they're intoxicated. There's disinhibition and secondary consequences to it. Or they feel it's cool to drink.
Correct.
It's okay because they need to fit in.
Status in the
Status,
peer pressure.
peer pressure.
And it's like, "Nee kudiyadilva." It's
Yeah.
like, I mean, what a useless character you are
Yeah,
in the society
correct.
does. Yeah, I agree.
A
with you.
novelty seeking.
True.
So they're very strict at home. So
Mm.
outside they feel
Correct.
there is a sense of freedom.
True.
Lot of people with MDMA, heroin. So the more potent substances are used for feeling high. So which can have its own consequences related to mental disorders. And again, we have what is known as internet addiction, compulsion to be on internet in spite of health problem or dysfunctionality or interpersonal conflicts. We see sex addiction, pornography, gambling, pathological gambling, not doing anything but on the phone throughout, which can have an overlap of obsessive compulsive disorder.
True.
We have a lot of what is known as eating disorder addiction in adolescence, especially with the advent of Swiggy and Zomato.
Correct.
So ali verbal advertisements barutte. So a lot of butter and cheese.
True.
So immediately there's instant gratification.
Yeah, lot of carbohydrates.
Carbohydrates,
chugging in.
unprocessed
Absolutely.
food.
Absolutely.
So healthy diet is what we see a lot of eating disorder problem with anorexia or obesity. So they talk a lot of gut health issues which is secondary impacting mental well-being.
Correct.
So in adolescence we have all these
They
challenges.
say gut is the second brain.
Brain.
So obviously it has an impact.
It has an
True.
impact. Middle-aged we have a lot of symptoms of depression, bipolarity, PTSD, severe depression. Old age, again, we have agitated depression, or after 70, we have dementia, which is again on the rise
Correct.
because we are increasing the lifespan
Lifestyle disorders are also
on the
increased
rise.
now.
Yeah.
So obviously it
Mm.
shows up.
Yes.
Correct.
So I think each generation has different challenges
Mhm.
in terms of mental health issues.
So in your experience, which do you think is easier to handle? I mean, I know it's not a right question,
Okay.
but what do you think in your experience? The younger they are, the handling is better, or the older they are, they can understand things better, so its handling is better. Which is better?
Again, it depends on the nature and severity of mental illness. Because unfortunately, the major mental disorders like schizophrenia, the onset is somewhere between 16 or 18 years. So the younger the age of onset, the prognosis is bad because the age of onset is earlier. And that too, whenever there's a genetic predisposition, there's a lot of genetic loading, there is a family history, it is endogenous. So it's definitely very difficult for the patients and for the family members to deal with. Something like bipolar, severe illness, the younger onset. So the impact is more. But however, when the disorder is more like a reactive depression or a mild depression, or it's a stress reaction, it's just an adjustment disorder. So these things have a better prognostic factors because having a stress in psychiatry is always a good factor because once you identify the stress and remove the stress, the chances that they getting better is always
Okay.
good.
Okay. All right. So this is one more question I have frequently encountered with. If there is somebody who has, okay, to some extent, mild depression, they've been diagnosed to, but they hesitate to go to a psychiatrist because they think they will be put on medication and that's lifelong. So this is a myth, I know. So why don't you talk about it to our viewers to clear this myth?
So mild depression, I still feel we can try with other modes of treatment.
Like, for example?
Like simple yoga, meditation, venting out, talking therapy, whenever there is a stress, even in terms of religiosity or spirituality. So these certain lifestyle modifications, mild depression can be treated.
So it is not mandatory that one needs to go on medication.
Not always.
Okay.
But whenever the mild depression can progress into moderate or severe depression. So whenever there is a progression that shows that they may require some help. Again, it's a myth when they say they are like, I don't know, most of the society and even other branches of medicine have a very wrong notion about psychiatric medications.
True.
Somewhere they believe they are steroids or sleeping medications.
They're doped.
They're doped.
They're just doped.
So most of the psychiatric medications are medicines which are non-addictive. Except the benzodiazepines or the sleeping medications in which they can reach a tolerance and there can be some addictive level. But the commonest which we use like SSRI, SNRI or antipsychotic medications are not addictive. So sometimes there is a feeling that once they start, they need to be on continuous medications.
Lifelong.
It is not true. It is true to some extent and not true to some extent. It's again based on a lot of factors.
Correct.
Whenever the severity is more or where there is a recurrence. So they've had one episode.
Correct.
And they've recovered.
Correct.
The second episode is
How well
severe.
they manage it.
How well they manage it. So in spite of doing everything right, there is a lifestyle modification, there is talk therapy. But sometimes when it is so severe, they have no energy to do anything. They don't sleep well, they're not eating well. They have no energy to exercise, no energy to walk. So that time I think pharmacotherapy is
Will
required.
help.
Yeah.
Right. Now, there's a lot of hesitation in people to talk about mental health or even a simple depression. People don't want to say that, they're going through an issue. They want to, like, even people like, I was reading about Kapil Sharma. He is a comedian and he makes the whole world laugh and kind of during COVID, I remember this one of the families that he had that online kind of a show and the family was telling that thanks to him because everybody was locked in, they had no other entertainment, they survived on his shows. And for a person like that, he says that he found it very difficult to talk that he had episodes of depression, which he said people didn't understand. So I couldn't talk about it openly. So he couldn't take help, right? So why even now this taboo?
Yeah, because stigma, because any physical illness,
Mm.
people can relate well. Like I have stomach pain or my body is paining, I have fever. People are more reciprocal. But somehow stigma related mental health issues are unfortunately still there.
Mm.
I think it is much better than the previous years.
I
There
guess
is
so.
a
Yes,
change
yes.
because it's nice of you to talk about mental health,
True.
put a show here, and make people understand that mental
True.
health issue is an important topic.
Yeah, and there is no point putting it under the carpet and hiding
Yeah.
it, and then do what?
Yeah.
When it comes to a level where it is kind of, you have no other option, right? In fact, there's another thing about Deepika Padukone.
Hmm.
She being a celebrity, she now talks. She has a NGO which she runs. She educates people about, because she herself had depression, and she now educates people that, there's nothing wrong. You need to take help, right? So, in spite of all this, there are people who are still hiding, running away from it.
Yeah.
I understand it was compared to your dad's era, probably.
Hmm.
From then to now, I think a little more people have opened up, but I think it's still there. The taboo is still there. People don't want to talk
Hmm.
about it. So, how do you handle this when it comes to somebody that you feel that they could have picked up this earlier as a family, or the friends around, or somebody, rather than waiting for so long, or the person himself?
I think awareness. Awareness is an important part
Mm.
because whenever in our OPD setup, whenever a patient comes, they talk about symptoms, but they're not able to understand that it's depression. So we give out small handouts as to how certain symptoms are. So reaching out, they take these pamphlets or handouts. So to make sure they distribute to other people. We give them psychoeducative books. We keep talking to them that mental health or depression symptoms, how it needs to be identified. So awareness is an important tool in making people understand that it's an issue which we need to openly talk about.
True. And
And
there's nothing
also, I
wrong
think
about
we
it.
need support from the other medical departments.
Yes.
So very often when they talk about these symptoms and they talk to a physician or other specialty, unfortunately they try to normalize and symptom and say these medications addiction ನೀವೇ ಹುಷಾರಾಗಬೇಕು,
ಹೌದು.
ನೀವು ಗಟ್ಟಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ನೀವು ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಈ ಮಾತ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕು ನೀವು. And most of the time patients come back telling that we've had a relapse, and it is told by the other specialty of doctors not to take.
Oh.
So we very often encounter this.
Oh.
So sometimes, especially gynecologists, whenever they're
Nothing
planning for
against
a
gynecologists,
yeah,
but just saying it.
yeah. So they have postpartum depression,
Correct.
postpartum psychosis.
Correct.
So here I think our role is to have a good listening.
True.
We always write back to them. We talk to them, making them understand these medications are safe. So there is some kind of coordination between the two specialities. Because Pratibha, in MBBS, we are exposed to psychiatry only for 15
Very
days.
true. Very true.
We're not exposed to
True.
psychiatry posting at all. So unfortunately, no exposure. So we are not able to understand and detect.
Yeah.
So this I feel personally, with what I've understood, listening iddaga they're very reciprocative.
Correct.
So we are able to make them understand. So
Yes.
they're on some medications. So there is no relapse. Because pertaining to that, I still remember one interesting story where this lady, she was in a second pregnancy. And first pregnancy, she gave birth to a girl child. But the second pregnancy, she was due within a week's time. But she was under severe psychological stress. And then in Gandmagune,
Oh, okay.
Heribegu, we don't need a girl child.
Okay.
So she was already stressed severely. She was sleep deprived. And this precipitated a severe acute manic symptom. Like mania andre, it's one of the psychiatric disorder where they don't sleep. Their thinking is abnormal. They're hyperactive. They talk a lot. They have very grandiose ideas. They feel they have certain special powers,
Mm-hmm.
so they don't listen.
Mm.
So in any
That's why I think they say maniac tara aadbada anta. Correct.
correct.
Hmm.
So she was not cooperating at all for any procedures, any medicines. So Ali General Hospitals Ali, they went into a panic mode. They didn't know how to,
Deal
treat
with
this
her.
patient.
Hmm.
So immediately she was got to our hospital, and fortunately, since my mom also is a gynecologist, so we somehow could manage, and she delivered a healthy baby. Otherwise, in sometimes we could have lost the
True.
patient and as well as the baby.
True. Now, you brought in a very interesting and important topic of women having mental health disorders, starting from postpartum and PMS. So, can we talk a little more elaborately about that for our viewers?
Yeah, in general, women are affected almost 2 times higher than men
Mm.
with depression and anxiety symptoms. Maybe hormonal is one of the reasons why we may be affected, and also psychological role as a mother, as a wife, to make sure our needs are always last, to put their priorities first. So we have lot of other needs which need to be met. So these could be one of the factors why we are more prone for
Mm.
depression or anxiety.
Okay.
So for a woman, generally she's prone for premenstrual syndrome or dysphoria ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. So these symptoms are usually they can have sadness, irritability, bloating sensation, breast tenderness. So during andre generally these mood symptoms starts 3 to 4 days before menstrual cycle in her cycle. So at least 3 consecutive menstrual cycle before the onset of menstruation, if a woman has any of these symptoms and subsides gradually after the onset of menstruation, it is what we know as premenstrual dysphoria. So this premenstrual dysphoria does not require any aggressive treatment.
Mm.
One is identification. Yes, there are some mood swings. I tend to get irritable. I'm not my normal self. If a woman is able to have awareness, even simple things like exercising, walking, having a good vitamin supplementation, folic acid supplementation, nutritious food. So these are certain things, engaging in some meaningful activities.
Mm.
So certain things can help in reducing premenstrual dysphoria.
Okay. And usually, how long does this last? If you say it's PMS, how long does it last?
Starts before the onset of menstruation and subsides within 2-3 days
Okay.
after the menstrual flow.
So, roughly around 1 week
1 week
before and after.
before and
Yeah.
after.
Okay. And what do you suggest somebody who's going through PMS? What do you recommend for them? What do you suggest as a help that they could do apart from whatever you mentioned?
If it
now?
is mild,
Mm.
good lifestyle modifications. But sometimes if it is severe,
Mm. When do you say it is severe?
if they have lot of hot flushes,
Okay.
the irritability is too much,
Mm.
it may go on to have a depressive symptoms.
Mhm.
When the depression or sadness prolongs even after the onset of menstruation.
Mm.
So certain even estrogen or a hormonal replacement may be helpful.
Okay.
Certain SSRIs may be helpful,
Okay.
or pregabalin.
So
Certain
it's good to connect with a professional
professional
and take help.
take help.
Okay.
Young doctors or residents are overstressed
I
with
think
long
so.
working hours,
Mm.
academic pressure,
Mm.
performance, and also lack of empathy sometimes from the senior professors.
Ah.
So very often we don't find anybody trying to understand what's
Understand.
happening. Are they
True,
sleeping
true.
well? Is it too much? You
Very
have to
true.
perform. You have to kind of do your duties.
Correct.
So this itself can be quite stressful.
Mm.
So it's a transition period.
Mhm.
Probably they would have come from a different environment and now there is a sudden change in the environment.
Correct.
Or also they can be wanting that kind of freedom.
Mm.
They can go into substances.
Mm.
So wanting to kind of, many students MBBS, I find that they feel cannabis improves their concentration. So they
Yeah,
get
I've heard about
habituated
this
to
also. Huh.
substances.
Mm.
So they're able to perform better.
Though it's not legal in
Though
India,
it's
they
not
have
legal.
access.
Access to
I
it.
know.
Sometimes bullying.
Mm.
this can ragging, which can have a
Ragging, yeah.
serious impact on
Yeah.
their well-being.
Mm.
So these issues can impact young residents.
And coming to the postpartum, how I'm sure this lady has a family around her,
Hmm.
right? How important is it, one, for the lady to understand, second, for the family members to understand what she's going through? Because many a time the family is not that sensitive, or
Hmm.
they think, why is she acting funny?
Hmm.
That kind of I hear feedback from
Hmm.
some of the women who come.
Hmm.
So how do you make them understand what should be done? How do we?
Basically, like after the postpartum time,
Mm.
women can be affected by 3 kinds of disorders. After delivery, she can have something called postpartum blues. Because she's a new mother, now her role changes from being a wife to a mother. So she has an added responsibility of taking care of the child. This itself can be quite stressful. So it's a transition in her role. Second is she can be exhausted. There is a dip in her estrogen progesterone level. There can be sleep deprivation because the child is
Correct.
there. So certain factors can cause what is known as postpartum blues, which can be there for a few weeks or months. It is some kind of a mild irritation, feeling low, lack of interest, not wanting to take care of the baby, and generally subsides within few weeks or months, which does not require any intervention. Then the second kind is what is known as postpartum depression,
Mm.
where there are clear symptoms of depressive symptoms, where the mother talks about her subjective mood symptoms, that she's feeling very sad, she has no joy in taking care of the baby, she's not able to have any attachment feelings, she has no interest in feeding the baby, she's feeling very lethargic, inertia, she's feeling fatigue.
Okay.
So these are certain, and she has death wishes. She feels it's better off dying. She doesn't feel like living in this world. She feels guilty. She feels that she may be troubling others. So when some of the core symptoms are there, we
And I
need
think in
intervention.
this situation, they will not even open up and tell people around them, I suppose, what that they are going through.
Going through,
Right?
but these can be identified by the family members.
Mm.
They feel that she's very dull, she's not cheerful, that happiness of being a mother or taking care of the child is not there. ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಸುಸ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ನಂಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕೋ ಬೇಜಾರಾಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಕ್ರೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಪೆಲ್ಸ್, ಏನು ಕಾರಣ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಅಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನು. So
No, do they say these things?
yes, in
Okay.
depression they say,
Okay.
because it's very important for us to understand
Mm.
psychosis has no insight. Psychotic patients, they're in loss of touch with reality, whereas neurosis or mood disorder like depression and anxiety, we need to give importance to the subjective history, because they're able to understand ನಂಗೆ ನಿದ್ದೆ ಬರ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಬೇಜಾರಾಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಮೈಕೈ ನೋವು, ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಇಲ್ಲ.
Mm.
But whenever you're dealing with a psychotic patient,
Mm.
they believe they're all right.
Yeah, correct.
Their insight is not
Correct.
there.
Mm.
So when we're talking about postpartum psychosis,
Mm.
the woman is not able to understand.
How common is that?
At least 1 in 1,000 births have psychosis. There is severe change in behavior. The woman starts acting abnormally. ಅವರೇ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಕೋತಿರ್ತಾರೆ. They may be hallucinating. One of the patient I remember, sometimes they can have auditory hallucinations. ಯಾರೋ ಅವ್ರ ಕಿವಿಲೈ ಮಾತಾಡಿಸ್ತಿರಂಗೆ.
Mhm.
Sometimes the voice is telling them, ನೀನು ಮಗುನ ಕೊಂದ್ಬಿಡು, ನೀನು ಬಾವಿಗೆ ಬಿದ್ದು ಸತ್ತೋಗು, ಸೊ ನೀನು ಕೆಟ್ಟವಳು. They can have very derogatory, commanding auditory hallucinations. So they're not able to sleep well.
Mm.
So they're completely lost in touch with reality.
Correct.
Sometimes ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ದೇ ನಾಟ್ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಇದು ಸನ್ನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ. ದೇ ಗಿವ್ ಅ ಸನ್ನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಕಾಮನ್ ಕೊಲೋಕಿಯಲ್ ರೂರಲ್ ಪೀಪಲ್
Uh-huh.
ದೇ ಸೇ ಇದು ಸನ್ನಿ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ, ಸರಿ ಹೊಟ್ಟೋಗ್ತಾರೆ.
Uh-huh.
ಸೊ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪೂಜೆ ಮಾಡಿಸೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ದೇ ಟೇಕ್ ದೆಮ್ ಟು ದ ಟೆಂಪಲ್. ಸೊ ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ದೀಸ್ ಸಿಂಪ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ವರ್ಸನ್. ಸೊ ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸೇ ದಟ್ ಯಾರೋ ಸ್ಪಿರಿಟ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ
Or
ಹೊಟ್ಟೋಗಿದೆ,
like possessed. Uh-huh.
ಪೊಸೆಸ್ಡ್,
Okay, okay,
ಭೂತ
okay.
ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ
Ah.
ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ಈ ಭೂತ ಬಿಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕು, ಭೂತ ಬಿಡಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸರಿ ಹೊಟ್ಟೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆರ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಡೆಲ್ಯೂಡೆಡ್ ಬಿಲೀಫ್, ಇದೇ ಊಟ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು, ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಊಟ ಕೊಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ದೇ ಡಿಪ್ರೈವ್ the woman of nutritious food.
Mm.
Even though the support system is there, sometimes when there is no education,
They
this-
have that belief.
they have this
that this
belief.
will help.
ಎಲ್ಲೋ ತಾಂತ್ರಿಕನ ಹತ್ರ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ ಇನ್ನೂ ಅದು ಮ್ಯಾಜಿಕೋ ರಿಲೀಜಿಯಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಸಿ ಬ್ರೂಯಿಸಸ್, ಆ ನೀಮ್ ಲೀವ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಸೊ ಕುಂಕುಮಗಳಿಟ್ಟು ಆ ಕರ್ಪೂರದಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಸುಟ್ಟಿ. ಸೊ ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಕಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ವೆರಿ ಬ್ಯಾಡ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್. But fortunately, most of the postpartum psychosis, they recover completely.
Okay.
But sometimes it can be onset of a bipolarity, because usually bipolarity starts with postpartum psychosis.
Oh, okay.
Or sometimes worse cases, they take this woman and put them back to the parents' house. ಯಾಕೋ ಸರಿಗಿಲ್ಲ,
okay,
ನಾವು
okay.
ವಾಪಸ್
We can't
ಕಳಿಸ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ.
manage at
ವಿ
home.
ಕಾಂಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್, ಏನೋ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಹುಚ್ಚಿ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾಳೆ, ಸರಿ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ, and they just dump them back into the parents' house. So these are certain sad stories, because most of the severe mental disorders are completely treatable.
Mm.
They get back to normalcy.
Correct.
In some, we feel
So I
sad
think
that
it's important message to the viewers. If you're watching this and if you see any of this happening, please keep them informed, because that may save a life by the end of the day.
yeah, we have. I still remember and feel very sad that one patient with postpartum psychosis, she heard voices that ಮಗುನ ಬಾವಿಗೆ ಎಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸಾಯಿಸ್ಬಿಡು ಅಂತ. So she literally dumped the
Put the child in.
put the child
Really?
into the newborn,
Oh my
because family members ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದೂರ ಇದ್ರು,
Hmm.
and the baby died. And she
Oh
was still
God.
in a psychotic process.
Ah,
So she was admitted to the hospital.
ah.
She recovered. But once she realized
Ah.
what happened, she went into severe depression.
Ayyo. Obviously. no?
Obviously.
Sha-
So again, from postpartum psychosis,
Mm.
she came back to reality. She understood that what she's done was not okay.
Mhm.
So again, we had to treat her for severe depression.
Mm.
So it's very sad when we
That's
don't
really sad.
act and understand, when there is no awareness,
Yeah.
we can lose the child as well as the woman.
True. Even now, these things are going on. It's 21st century. It's amazing. I mean, if you look at information to go out, even in the villages,
Villages,
now they
yeah.
have YouTube and they have TikTok and they have everything. But this information they don't
Yeah.
have. And they
No,
go into some
rural
practice.
countries also, or
Ah.
even in urban countries, people who have chronic disorder like schizophrenia, they're acting abnormally.
Mm.
ಸೊ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ವರ್ಷ ಒಂದು ರೂಮಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ.
Mm.
ಸೊ ವೇರ್ ದ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಸೇ ದಟ್ ಏನೋ ಹುಚ್ಚಿ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾಳೆ, ಫಾರ್ ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್ ಒಂದು ರೂಮಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಊಟನೋ
No,
ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು
it is amazing that even now this
Yeah.
is happening. That's
Happening.
all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Olden days, I mean, yeah, information was not that much. People were not educated, did not have so much information. ಇವಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ information ಇದೆ. But why these things are so behind in their reach?
ಹೆಸಿಟೇಷನ್ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ, ಏನೋ ಜನ
People
ಆಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು,
don't talk about
ನಮ್ಮ ಬಗ್ಗೆ
it.
ಏನ್
Yeah.
ಅನ್ಕೋಬಹುದು.
True, true, true.
ಫೀವರ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಯಾರು ದೇ ಡೋಂಟ್
ಹಾ.
ಜ್ವರ ಇದೆ ನೀವು ಹುಷಾರಾಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂತ.
Correct.
ಬಟ್ ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಬೇಜಾರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ
Very true.
ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಇಲ್ವಾ, ನೋಬಡಿ ವಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟು ಟಾಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಟ್.
You said it so true. In fact, I want to share my personal thing in this context. When I do counseling to a lot of my patients, I tell them what I went through in the medical college. And yeah, there was a bad period of time with no fault of mine. A lot of things happened around me which I had no control over. And I was in a place where I decided, it was not worth living. Right? So I was in these tendencies. Luckily, I got help. Right? But at that point of time, I did not want to talk to people about it. I did not think I was so important that it would matter to people.
Yes.
Imagine me.
Yeah.
I come from a sports background where I have, like you said, achieved so much in life. Compared to a lot of people, I had done a lot. But then I was in this space where I thought I was useless and I wanted to end my life. So when I tell this to my patients and I tell them I understand exactly what you're going through. Immediately I see that expression change, and they start opening up and they tell me the whole story. And, till then they are like hesitant. They're hesitant. They don't want to open up. They don't want to say. The moment they hear my story, so in a way, whatever happened didn't happen good, but then that's a boon for me, because a lot of my patients relate to me, and they understand that I understand what their problem is. It's nothing funny about it, or nothing wrong about it, so they do relate. So
I'm so
talking about
happy
it,
that you're so courageous to talk
I
about
had to
your
take courage.
vulnerability. No, this is very important factor because
True.
people shy away
Yeah.
from talking about their vulnerabilities. The moment you're so courageous about talking, so that kind of gives them a sense of ease, ansate.
Very true.
And all of us are humans finally, no matter education or
Correct,
status, whatever.
correct.
Human brain is the same.
Exactly.
We all go through the same set of emotions of sadness, happiness, grief. And we are, all of us are vulnerable. Sometimes it can be a transient phase
True.
where we go through ups and downs.
Very true.
So I think it's very nice of you to say that you've gone through this difficult period. So they're able to it gives them that sense of security that they're in a
Yeah,
safe space
that is what
to talk about.
my patients feel. When I say this, I say, you know what, I was there one day and I fought it over. I did have a lot of support from my husband, from the people. Dr. Shekhar Sheshadri is one person I would like to mention. He was the one who came like an angel to me, and he got me out of it, right? I did have to go through some amount of medication, but then, yeah, it was a passing phase, right? But that courage to even to stand up to it came from my support system. So the viewers, what I'm trying to appeal to is, if you find somebody like this, please lend a supporting hand. Find some professionals where you can get help from. I think it'll make a lot of difference to people. Otherwise, today I don't think I would be sitting here talking to you. Maybe.
No, you're doing a
Right?
great job actually.
Yeah. So, I mean, so sometimes I wonder, why do people hesitate so much? And when I go back and think, I think of those days when I didn't want to open up. I didn't want to say anything. And it was literally forceps delivery. Like, people had to pull it out of my mouth and to make me open up and say what I was going through, right? So I'm sure people are going through these kind of situations.
I think basically they don't feel safe.
Safe, yeah.
Because the society and sometimes even our close family members can be very judgmental. Very often nobody is actively listening to what's happening. Each one is intrusive, giving their own sense of, solutions, which can be just a projection of their
Very true.
ideas.
Lip sympathy.
Yeah, lip sympathy. So very, very rarely people
And
find
I
that safe
think
space.
indirectly it also puts a lot of pressure on the person.
Yes.
Ningenagide.
Yeah.
When
reaching a-
somebody asks that
Yeah.
ningenagide, first of all, this person doesn't want to open up. On top of it, somebody comes and says ningenagide.
So they're gaslighting again.
Exactly.
Ningen maha agide. What is the big deal? Tara?
So how do you expect that person to open up?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
Very
true.
true.
So true. Now, going next, let's change track a little. I think it became a little too serious.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little about our personal lives.
Okay.
You are a woman. You are a psychiatrist. You come from a family of psychiatrists, and you have your personal life. You have a family. So how do you balance your professional life and personal life? This has been a question for me all the time. So I would
Okay.
like to hear from you also.
I think for basically being a woman and with 2 daughters, I wouldn't say it's all been easy. So it's a learning process, I think. It's something like I have evolved as a person, understanding that what I need to do to protect myself. So initially there were phases where I used to do everything. I need to fit in. I need to do this, I need to do that, balance everything. Multitasking. Make sure that everything
Everybody is happy around you.
Everybody is happy around me. So this is a hard lesson I learned that this will not sustain me for long. somewhere in the middle, I started realizing that it's high time that I start caring for myself. So, self care, I believe in micro habits, something which is doable and sustainable. So, something have a basic routine. So, I'm not a very extrovert person. I don't like partying.
Okay.
So, if I get rest, read some books, I'm happy to spend time alone. So, I have some kind of a emotional rest. So, in terms of physical activity, I like to walk because there are so many times I've enrolled myself in gym, but hardly been able to sustain.
That's true.
So maybe
Happens to me
weekly 3
also.
times,
Mm.
30-40 minutes of
Okay.
walking in sunlight, maybe between 7:30 to 8:30. I'm not a very early riser. I need my rest. Maybe some amount of weight training because now I'm already 47 for muscle strengthening.
Right.
So routine is something I feel we generally don't value
Huh.
much, but it's very
Very
important
important.
aspect.
True.
Sleep at least for a minimum of 6 to 8 hours is very essential for the circadian rhythm, because now very often we feel that people party late night and they try to compensate on Saturday and Sundays, which is definitely not healthy, because all our immune system, everything kind of stabilizes only with good amount of sleep. And third thing is what I've learned is taking care of my emotional health. In terms of basically, I have this people pleasing attitude. So never been able to say no to my close family members. And if I say no, there's a lot of guilt and I feel uncomfortable. Maybe I'm doing something no. So this is trying my best to lead an intentional life, trying to say no for things which is not possible, also trying to understand this. Yes, I will feel guilty and uncomfortable, and it's okay if I feel guilty or uncomfortable, because I've realized human energy is very perishable. Trying to conserve our energy, which is really important in what we can relate to or which is nearer to our heart, rather than trying to do everything and drain our energy. So setting good boundaries, so trying to say that I can't do everything. So these are certain
Basically,
things.
gracefully saying no to people.
Yeah. And also having something like I try my best to journal my emotions,
Okay.
feelings. It's been helpful. Maintaining some kind of a gratitude journal. It doesn't happen every time, at least occasionally. I love nature and gardening. I have a small garden which I just spend time weekly once, just with the soil, mud. So these small activities I feel gives me sense of peace and stability.
One more thing I want to talk about, Preeti, is from our fraternity. Of late, I'm sure you also read about it. A lot of senior doctors, pre-senior doctors, ended their life. One was from Chennai who had in fact, killed his own family members because he had 5 crore of loss because of whatever reason. The other person was the way he was working, his way performance started coming down, declining. Because of that, he ended his life. I mean, senior people, a neurologist and all. And not only these people, but medical students. You have so many people. Why do you think it is so much? And also, there was a recent Times of Now release which said among Indian doctors, the highest number of self-harm has been done. This is the statistics they've found. So why do you think it is so predominant in this
I think,
profession?
unfortunately, mental health professionals are quite stressed. See, because whenever we talk about stress, acute stress is always good for a human being. So, acute stress, there is increase of cortisol. It is protective in nature, the fight or the
Correct.
flight response.
Correct.
It is this chronic stress which can take a toll on on our well-being.
Maybe starting from sudden exposure from the
Yeah.
12th grade to different kind of learning.
Yes.
You're by yourself
I
on
think the
your
young
own.
doctors have different challenges
Huh,
and the senior doctors
obviously,
have different
obviously.
challenges. Young doctors or residents are overstressed
I
with
think
long working hours,
Mm,
academic pressure,
mm.
performance,
Performance.
and also lack of empathy sometimes from the senior professors. So, very often we don't find anybody trying to understand what's happening. Are they sleeping well? Is it too much? You have to perform, you have to kind of do your duties. So, this itself can be quite stressful.
Mm.
So, it's a transition period.
Mhm.
Probably they would have come from a different environment, and now there is a sudden change in the environment. Or also, they can be wanting that kind of freedom. They can go into substances. So, wanting to kind of many students, MBBS, I find that they feel cannabis improves their concentration. So, they
Yeah,
get
I've heard about
habituated
this
to,
also. Huh.
substances. So, they're able to perform better.
Though it's not legal in
Though
India,
it's
they
not
have
legal,
access.
to
I
it.
know.
Sometimes bullying, this can
True.
ragging, which can have a
Ragging, yeah.
serious impact on
Yeah,
their
yeah, yeah.
well-being.
Mm.
So these issues can impact young residents.
True.
I think when it comes to senior professionals, I think we get into this rat race
I think
unconsciously.
so. Very true.
So where we over-identify ourselves, and how do we feel the
Try
doctor
to
is doing
match
well?
to
Yeah,
somebody.
the number of patients
True,
we
true,
see, the amount of money you're making,
Correct.
how well you've
Your
established
lifestyle.
your lifestyle. Unconsciously, we relate to, a person doing well by other external factors. So we've found in research that for our inner peace, stability, these factors are very temporary. And also the challenges in terms of running private establishment, giving them salary,
Correct.
going into debts, unpredictability, violence against doctors. It's very sad because the older generation, doctors also were kind of very, that heartfelt, wanting to help them. So there was so much of respect. But unfortunately, corporate settings or wanting to
Correct. I agree
perform.
with you.
So there are unnecessary investigations, unnecessary treatment. Patients have lost faith.
Yeah.
So
And the
all
bills, what is done for the patient, they think everything goes to the doctor,
doctors,
unfortunately, which is not the
unfortunately,
truth at
not
all.
true.
Very,
Suddenly
very rightly
putting us
said.
on a pedestal when the patient recovers, and suddenly becoming rageful and violent when something happens in terms of death, which is not in our hands. So I think a lot of these dynamics can influence doctors' well-being.
True. So when I was training there, first few days I found myself overdressed,
Okay.
right? And I found everybody was like you said, no, they're in a very different picture. So I was a little curious to understand why is it. So I spoke to my
Yeah.
friends in the
Yeah.
unit and I said, why do you people dress up like this? So, I mean, overdressed andre, the
I
usual
understand.
whatever,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
lipstick
yeah.
and the kajal, that's my
Kajal.
dressing,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
all. And that
Okay.
has been the same for ages now.
Okay.
So, but there I didn't see anybody wearing either a lipstick or a kajal. Nobody,
Okay.
right? So when I asked them, they said, no, we've been instructed
Mm-hmm.
not to dress up
Okay.
or look good.
Okay.
Because, when you're dealing with psychiatric patient, there can be a little bit of a perverted
Yes.
kind of you're kind of a instigating or stimulating them. So to avoid that, you kind of dress very, not very done up types.
Okay.
So I said, whoa, I mean, this I found a little strange
Okay.
initially. And I found, like I said, I found myself very overdressed.
Mm-hmm.
But then later when I understood, I said, maybe this makes sense. Other professional also, I think in latest news about the IIT Kharagpur, they say in the last 10 months, they've seen on campus 3 deaths.
Okay.
Which is unheard of. I think of late these things are becoming more. So do you think the younger generation, their capability to handle the stress or pressure is lesser compared to the older generation? What do you
I
think?
feel I may be biased,
Uh,
but I feel the system is failing us.
uh-huh.
We are not failing. If I see even a first standard kid, I see people in 11th and 12th, the amount of tremendous pressure they have, and they come for counseling, they're not able to perform. They feel that if they don't perform, they don't get certain ranks, they're useless. So we're feeding this information right from younger days. So it's a toxic culture. So there are physicians like Gabor Mate. So he talks about this toxic culture, which is actually failing us as humans. So our life is very simple, but somehow we made sure we made it very complicated.
Successfully made it
Successfully
complicated.
made
I
it
think.
complicated.
Very true.
Yeah.
Tell me a little about your college and why you became a psychiatrist.
Yeah, frankly, I think it's been.
Did you want to be a psychiatrist?
Yeah, because I think my dad now
Mm.
Spandana is almost 50 years now.
50 year?
50
50?
years. 50.
Wow. Mm.
And my dad started with a small clinic.
Mm.
So I think he would charge 2 rupees
Oh my
and
God.
5 rupees initially.
Okay.
So it was a very modest setting. He came in a very hard way. And step by step, he's built this empire. And I was exposed to psychiatric patients from a very young age, almost 6 to 7 years. So it gave me that sense of confidence. I was not scared at all.
Okay.
Because that early exposure,
Mhm.
because even now people get scared of psychiatric patients. They feel they are crazy, they're acting different, or maybe they feel they'll do something. So since I was exposed to an early age, I used to sit next to my dad when he was talking to patients.
Mhm.
So I just felt it was all normal. People talking about emotions. In fact, I would see my dad giving ECTs, which didn't scare me.
Really?
Really. Initially, yes, I was taken
As a
aback.
kid?
As a kid.
Wow.
So maybe
Mm.
10 or 12 years.
Okay.
So I've seen that. So initially it was like unmodified ECTs. So, but I've also seen patients recovering, and he being an important role in making
Yeah, in
changes
the
to
recovery. Very true.
life, and people were so indebted to whatever change. So it was not that I was against psychiatry,
Hmm.
not that I was like completely passionate about, to be frank. So I felt that, why not psychiatry? So if I'm able to relate to patients, because I love listening to stories.
Okay.
Because listening to story kind of gives me a therapeutic change within myself. I start reflecting how I can relate to their stories and become a better person. And we kind of take that human suffering is a part of everybody. So it kind of somewhere makes us a better person. But somewhere it can have a negative impact also. This long time seeing patients, we have burnout, we have compassionate fatigue. Sometimes we get tired of listening to the same stories.
Correct.
And certain illnesses are very chronic in nature.
I know.
And we feel that every patient, we have a feeling that we need to fix their
True,
problems,
True.
which is
You feel
not
so morally
realistic.
responsible.
Yeah, unconsciously.
Very
Whenever
true.
they put us in a pedestal,
True.
we feel that we have to make a change.
Very true.
So certain things we can't make any change in that. So that helplessness causes a sense of frustration. So I think there are both positive aspects and negative aspects whenever we are dealing with mental health patients.
So you also married a psychiatrist.
Yes.
So now how does that, add
I
to
think
your...
I feel that psychiatry is just a branch. And when you need to relate to a partner, it's basically their personalities. So I think me and my husband are different personalities. He's more of an extrovert. He likes to go out, like socializing. I'm of an introvert. I like
Opposite.
my own space. So I think somewhere now it's more than 25 years we're married.
Okay.
And we have figured it out where we
How
need
to
to
balance.
have our own
Okay.
spaces.
Nice.
And like any normal couples, I think just because we are psychiatrists,
Nice.
it's not, everything is perfect.
Correct.
We have our ups and downs like any
True.
marital life. And so there's a part of learning and journey
True.
as any couples.
Now, coming to the, you said about couples. Now, what has been your experience about mental disorder uh, before the relationship and after relationship? Do you find any complexity in that? Marriages
Hmm.
breaking, or people who put up with that? What is their life as a caregiver or a spouse? What
Yeah,
do
I
you have to say?
think it is to do with before marriage. I think there are certain expectations.
Mm.
Initially, yes, every marriage you gel with each other. There are a lot of compromises. You need to make the relationship work. So I think it's that honeymoon period. After marriage, I think the dynamics changes. Where for the relationship to work, you need to compromise or you start understanding what are the negative aspects.
Correct.
Because
Mm.
when you're before marriage, you focus only on the positive qualities. So now you're understanding the gray areas. There's nothing like black or white. It's not everything good. So there are certain qualities which is good and bad in a person and how you are able to relate and adjust. So, but there are certain issues where when one of the partner is extremely toxic, narcissistic,
Mm-hmm.
you're not able to deal. Nowadays, woman is more empowered to take decisions rather than just the family members. So I feel when she has that empowered attitude and she really feels that she's in a very bad marriage. So I think separation, we shouldn't keep it as a stigma.
Mm.
I'm not
Yeah,
telling that
that's
no
another
matter
stigma.
what you
Yeah,
have to gel with each
right.
other, it doesn't seem
Mm.
realistic.
Mm. Both ways, I think, whether it
Both
is
ways,
the
yeah.
woman or the man,
Or the
both
men,
ways.
because both of them, one of them can be toxic.
Correct.
So I'm not blaming, I'm not trying to say that the men are
Mm.
bad. So certain qualities you feel you cannot compromise. You've done everything in terms of therapy, counseling,
Mm.
family sessions, and still somehow you feel that staying together is more detrimental than moving on together. I think you have to empower a man or a woman
Mm.
to take independent decisions.
Correct. And I think the family also should be
Supportive.
supportive
Yes.
on
Yes.
that aspect, because
Yeah.
I have a lot of patients who come for counseling,
Hmm.
couple counseling especially, basically because of this. One of them is toxic, and either before the marriage they did not know that this issue was there, it was hidden, or they came to know afterwards, or it developed after, a year of getting married or something like that. And the struggle is the people around don't
Yeah.
approve of separation.
Again, it's a stigma issue.
It's a
Yeah.
stigma, correct.
ಅವ್ರೇನ್ ಅನ್ಕೋತಾರೆ ಅವ್ರೇನ್ ಅನ್ಕೋತಾರೆ so basically we start living for others. So
Yeah,
I believe it's high time we start living for ourselves.
true.
So but again that requires a lot of strength,
Absolutely,
courage. It's
absolutely,
not
courage.
easy.
True.
It's not easy for all
And
of us.
like you very rightly said, everybody looks for approval from the other,
Yes.
surrounding people.
Yeah.
So if people don't give approval, they probably think that, okay, let me just
Go with the
go
flow.
through it,
Yeah.
or something like that.
So it
The
can be
worst
very
is when
realistic logistic issues. Children are
exactly,
there.
exactly.
Yeah, so they can't take such
True.
a yes or no
Yeah.
decision. Sometimes it can be more harmful than just going with the flow. There can be other negative consequences.
Both ways,
Both
right?
ways,
Living
yes.
in the family, having the disease, and continuing the young kids
Yeah,
do have a
exposing them some
huge,
impact on their lives.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, completely.
Hmm.
And other way also, if you separate out, it has its
Its
own
own trauma and impacts. Yes.
impact.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very
Yeah.
debatable
Yeah.
kind of a
Right.
situation, I think.
Yes.
Great. So coming to your psychiatric training, you did your
Hmm.
training, where did you do
I
your
did in Father Muller's in
Mm.
Mangalore.
Okay.
So it was a Kankanadi. It was one of the earliest institution. It started with Leprosy Institute, and later on psychiatric institution was built. And a lot of patient inputs, like almost there was a closed ward of more than 100, 200 patients. So we had a huge OPD of more than 50 patients per day.
Mm.
So it was a good training.
Mm.
So, but I went through my own feelings of homesickness,
Okay.
transition period.
Huh.
I struggled for quite a number
Okay.
of years to understand what was happening.
Uh,
So all those set of adjustment,
true,
transition
true.
period.
Mm.
So finally trying to understand that I need to finish and come.
True.
So,
Very true.
and then after that, ever since my MD, I've just been in private practice for more than 20 years now.
Okay. Hmm.
So it's just
All right.
OPD, inpatient, trying to see how best I can manage
Hmm.
with
Okay.
my own limitations and
So,
balancing
how
the.
is your practice? Is it more of outpatient or more of inpatient? What's
It
the
is a setup with both
Huh.
inpatient and OPD setting. So it's basically a walk-in clinic where there are no previous appointments. We see large number of patients. So more than at least 50, 60. So we have 4 or 5 psychiatrists.
Okay.
So I'm able to see maybe 20, 30 per day. We have a team of clinical psychologists, family counselors, and other counselors because psychiatry doesn't confine only to
One person.
pharmacotherapy
Correct, correct.
and it's tailor made. Each
Very
patient's
true.
requirement is
They
different.
need everything. Yeah,
They need
correct.
everything.
Mm.
So whenever there is counseling or when there is assessment,
Mm.
we send them to direct them to the particular team.
Hmm. So, during your training, did you encounter anything? I can't call it funny, but a strange kind of a situation? Anything?
Not strange, but I feel that what I find funny is like how psychiatrists are depicted in movies.
Okay. What is it?
So, like usually a psychiatrist in movies ಅಲ್ಲಿ
Uh,
psychiatrist ಅಂದ್ರೇನೆ
uh.
they feel ಅವರೇ ಸರಿಗಿಲ್ಲ. They have some white coat, they're acting weird, hair ಹೆಂಗೆಂಗೋ ಇದ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
Uh,
Patients are not shown in the right way.
uh,
And it's very sad that ECT andre where this
I
pulse
know.
therapy what we give,
True.
it's basically a biological treatment. Pulses are passed.
Correct.
But TV movies ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗ್ ಡೆಪಿಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ as though you're going to give an electric shock to them.
ಕೊಡೋದು.
Punishment ತರ
Mm.
so that he becomes all right. And in most of the movies they're not shown in the right way.
Mm. True.
But somehow surprisingly in Malayalam movies,
Mm.
because Malayalam movies I like
Very
to see
authentic, I think.
authentic,
Yeah,
well written scripts.
very close to reality.
Yeah, and psychiatrists are shown in a realistic way.
Oh, okay.
So this is
I
one
haven't
thing I
watched
feel.
any Malayalam movie.
So
but
most
yeah.
of the movies when we say when ECT is required, they say ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲ shock ಬೇಡ ನಮ್ಗೆ,
correct, correct.
shock ಯಾಕೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ? So we say shock ಕೊಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. It's not an electrical ಇದು.
True.
It's a biological mode and quite safe treatment
True.
and faster recovery
True.
rather than other forms of treatment.
Why I ask this is when I was training in NIMHANS, um, I went parallel. Like I didn't do normally psychologists do their MA psychology and then they do their MPhil and they do their PhD in neuropsychology, right? But I had a parallel entry. So as a medical doctor, I went into neuropsychology. So when I was training there, first few days I found myself overdressed.
Okay.
Right? And I found everybody was like you said, no, they're in a very different picture. So I was a little curious to understand why is it. So I spoke to my friends in the unit and I said, why do you people dress up like this? So I mean, overdressed andre the
I
usual
understand.
whatever,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
lipstick
yeah.
and the kajal, that's my
Kajal.
dressing.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
all. And that
Okay.
has been the same for ages now.
Okay.
So but there I didn't see anybody wearing either a lipstick or a kajal. Nobody.
Okay.
Right? So when I asked them, they said, no, we've been instructed not to dress up
Okay.
or look good.
Okay.
Because, when you're dealing with psychiatric patients, there can be a little bit of a perverted kind of you're kind of instigating or stimulating them. So to avoid that, you kind of dress very, not very done up types.
Okay.
So I said, whoa, I mean, this I found a little strange
Strange, okay.
initially. And I
Mm.
found, like I said, I found
Mm.
myself very overdressed.
Mm.
But then later when I understood,
Mm.
I said, maybe this makes sense. So that's why I asked you, did you have in your
I
experience
think
anything like
this is
this?
very unique to Nimhans.
Oh, okay.
Because my dad is from Nimhans, my husband is from Nimhans.
So other places they
Other
do.
places, I
Okay.
don't know whether it's over identification with the
Mhm.
profession. I
Mhm.
really honestly don't know. There's no comments about Nimhans.
Okay.
But this is something which I've observed only in that institution.
Oh, really?
But in other colleges, it's not like that.
No, I haven't been anywhere else. So this was my
This is
experience.
something which even I used to wonder.
Oh, really?
Why is that they don't color their hair? They're
Uh-huh.
always with
How
khadis,
to?
no
Mm.
accessories.
Mm.
So, but I've had the same inquisitiveness as you.
Okay. So I asked because I
Okay.
couldn't hold it on because
Okay.
I found myself strange there
Okay.
because
No,
I
I
was the
think you've-
only one who was like that. So I
Yeah.
had to ask them
Okay.
what's going on
Okay.
like that. Anyway, it
Okay.
was really nice talking to you. But
Okay.
the last thing I want to ask you and end this conversation is there's a lot of role of you mentioned about yoga, meditation, and all. How do you think it helps for people who have maybe mild symptoms of anything, mental disorders?
Because I think meditation is something like mindfulness,
Mhm.
where you spend time being solitude. So you're able to connect yourself with ourselves. Because nowadays we are bombarded with outside stimuli.
True.
So there is no peace or sense for us to be alone. So yoga and meditation is kind of a practice where you're able to introspect, reflect, understand what's happening
Okay.
within ourselves.
You're
We're
kind of
able
giving
to
time to yourself.
time to understand what emotions we are feeling. So in that way, I think it has an added advantage.
Thank you so much. It was
Yeah.
such a nice time talking to you. And
Sure.
I think our viewers have had a lot of inputs, identifying small symptoms. And I wish this episode goes out to help a lot more people and to save lives.
First of all, thank you for inviting me, Pratima.
Thank you so much.
And you're
Preeti.
doing a wonderful job.
Thanks a
I
lot.
think the message in terms of your reaching out to people and increasing the awareness of mental health is amazing. Thank you
so
once again.
much.
Government Medical College, Bellary.
Oh,
Bellary, yeah. So it was a place where very hot place.
Yeah, I had a cousin who was in Bellary Medical College. She said, Sharan, there are only three weathers here: hot, hotter, hottest.
Yeah. So our hostels were old jail buildings.
Jailer.
Yeah, old jail buildings. Yeah.
Ravachad. Aliyan Bhuta Gita la no. It's some people say these jails are all
huge roof with the iron
Crazy.
doors.
no
all those
renovation
things.
on Sangya.
It was slightly converted into a with the bathrooms and all those things. They had converted into a hostel type. Most of the departments were also old
Jail
jail
building,
buildings. Yeah, anatomy or microbiology, pharmacology, all those departments.
Amazing.
And many of our, I don't know, because many of our teachers were not liking to get posted there. We had to read ourselves and pass the exam.
Howda? That means you didn't have full-fledged teachers.
Yeah, we didn't
Government
have
Medical College.
government medical, we didn't
Can you
have
imagine? See, when was this? 1980, yeah? No, sorry. not
93, 94 I joined
94.
my MBBS.
See, we joined MBBS 1986, Sarana, so 8 years difference. Now, or 7 years. Bangalore, Mysore, Hubli, Bellary. They were the only 4 medical colleges of government.
Yeah.
ಅಷ್ಟು ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ನೋಡು. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಬೇರೆ, ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ಬೇರೆ.
Many teachers were preferring Mysore or Bangalore medical colleges. The Hubli and Bellary were the least preferred one. And one day in a local hospital in Yelahanka, one boy and girl was brought to the hospital. ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಅರೌಂಡ್ 8 o'clock ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಗೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿದ್ರು. ಏನಂತೆ ಅವರು ನಂದಿ ಬೆಟ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಬೈಕಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರು.
Usual
ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ. ಸೊ
ಆ ಹುಡುಗಿ ಮುಂಬೈಯಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾಳೆ.
ಮುಂಬೈಯಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾಳೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಮನೇಲಿದ್ದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಡುಗಿ ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹಂಸಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ದ, ಹಂಸಲ್ಲಿ ಪಲ್ಟಿ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಹುಡುಗನಿಗೆ ಏನು ಏಟ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಏನೋ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಎಬ್ರೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಗರ್ಲ್ ಈಸ್ ಅನ್ಕಾನ್ಷಿಯಸ್.
ಹೆಲ್ಮೆಟ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲ
ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್. ಸೊ ಸ್ಕ್ಯಾನಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಕ್ಲಾಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಪ್ಯೂಪಿಲ್ಸ್ unequal ಇದೆ, which is an indication that is she is going to rapidly deteriorate.
And she was quite deeply unconscious at that.
Yeah, deeply unconscious. So ನಾನು ಹೋದವನು, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾನು ಪೇಷಂಟ್, ಅವನೊಬ್ಬನೇ ಹುಡುಗ ಇದ್ದ ಪಾಪ, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಅರ್ಲಿ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್. ಗರ್ಲ್ ಈಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಮುಂಬೈ, ಹಿಸ್ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸಮ್ವೇರ್ away. They had come to Nandi Betta as a morning trip. So people were not around, only that boy was there. So but as a doctor I don't have time.
Correct. Especially
in
that
my hand,
situation.
because she is deteriorating. I need ಸರ್ಜರಿ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆ ಬ್ಲಡ್ಗಳು ತೆಗಿಬೇಕು, ಅವಳ ಜೀವ ಉಳಿಸೋಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ.
Correct.
ಸೊ ಕರೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ನೋಡಪ್ಪ ಹಿಂಗೆ ವಿಷಯ ಇದೆ, ಅರ್ಜೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಇದೆ, ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. He was confused because he was a relative.
But young guy,
and he is also young guy, ಒಂದು ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ 20 years ಏನೋ ಇದ್ದಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಅವನು. ಅವನಿಗೆ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ಸರ್ಜರಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು ಕೂಡಲೇ ಅವನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೆದರ್ಕೊಂಡ, ಪ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟ. ಜೀವ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸರ್ಜರಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ, ತಲೆ ಸರ್ಜರಿ ಅಂತ ಆದಾಗ ಪ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಆದ. ಸೊ ಅವನು ಒಂದು ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕು ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಅಂತ, ಆಯ್ತು ಒಂದು ಮಾತಾಡೋ, ನಿಮಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. 10 minutes ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವನು ಒಳಗೆ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಂಗೆ ಐ ಬಿಕಮ್ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ಲೆಸ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಐ ನೋ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ದೆನ್. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಲೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಟೈಮ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಈಗ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಸರ್ಜರಿ ಹೇಳಿದ ಕೂಡ ಸರ್ಜರಿ ಆಗಲ್ಲ.
ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. So much process is
there is a lot of process. At least 4 hours duration is there to give the actual benefit of surgery from the point of decision making.
Correct.
So which people will not understand. ನಮಗೆ ಲಾಜಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅನಸ್ಥೆಸಿಯಾ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಬರಬೇಕು. Unless skull is opened, the surgery is not done.
Correct.
ಸೊ ನಾನು ರೆಸ್ಟ್ಲೆಸ್ ಆದೆ. ರೆಸ್ಟ್ಲೆಸ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ವಾಪಸ್ ಕರೆದೆ. ಅವನು ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಅವ್ರು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ಇವ್ರು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ಹಿ ವಾಸ್ ಹೆಸಿಟೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟೆಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ದ ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಟು
somebody,
his family. It has happened. Somehow he has told, but this severity he could not explain. So he was in a dilemma. Then I really got angry. I just blasted him left and right. ಹೀಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದ ಅವಳು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾಳೆ, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ನ್, ಹಂಗೆ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಜೋರು ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ. ಐ ಸ್ಕೋಲ್ಡೆಡ್ ಹಿಮ್. So then he signed. So then I took her for the surgery.
Gun point ತರ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ,
ಆ ಥರ ಮಾಡುವ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತು.
Correct.
Because the people were not understanding. They were thinking they have time.